Gary Barker, you are the CEO of Reapit. Reapit is the CRM system for 25% of the UK's property transactions each year. I want you to talk to me about the past, the present, and the future of Reapit and why it's so important for the audience of UK and letting estate agents. Talk to me.
God, that's quite a big question you put in there.
Okay, so let's start with the.
Shall we talk to the past?
Let's
maybe?
talk about the
That's
past.
a good one.
That's a good place to
Yeah,
start.
I mean, I'm so lucky to have been with Reapit for all these years now.
How long have you been with them?
15 years coming
Wow.
up for now.
So you get less for arson.
And it's been. Do you know what? It's been one of those experiences which I wouldn't take away.
Because your previous job was Chief Technology Officer for Countrywide.
Yeah,
So
I was
that's
the
a pretty
IT
big job.
director, so I had a great job there, and it was my job, funnily enough, at Countrywide to implement the Reapit software. And at the point of implementing it, it became such a. I bought so much into, Dominic Webb, George Steed, and actually, for the first time I met Simon Whale. Okay. His business Matchmaker had just been acquired, and they were looking at somebody that could come in and run the business, run the business from an operational perspective. And I remember sitting down with Simon in those early days, and he was just the most talented salesperson I've ever met in my entire life. And a lot of people will talk about some of the things he does, which is quite funny, and his industry presence. But my God, there is a talent behind that.
And you can't dismiss Pete Fennick either.
So Pete Fennick has been was one of these success stories. So I worked with Simon for probably just him and I, maybe 2 or 3 years. Yes. And I remember a famous day when we were pitching to one of the large Leeds agents. I won't name Russell or Mark, it's fine. And we were literally, Simon was pitching this sales software and he was doing such a good job of it. And Russell was asking, does it do this? Does it do that? Does it do that? And Simon was kicking me on the table and I was going, we can do that. We can deliver that. And it was just how Simon and I sold. He really got what they needed, and it was my job to make sure we delivered on it. But Pete Fennick came along, and I remember interviewing him when we used to do, what was the old property show in, was it the Angel? We had the property show all those years ago, and I famously interviewed Pete just before we were going to go out for dinner, and Simon and I went out for dinner. And I've never seen Pete look so shocked when he walked in there with his old company, having just interviewed and kind of accepted a job with us, and his face just went like that. But I then worked with Pete, and he went from, and he won't mind me saying this, he went from probably selling very small deals with ZPG and doing the kind of the small ones at probably the PSG group. And then, my God, did he turn into probably the solution sales guy. He learned a lot from Simon, but then went his own way of doing it.
Yes.
He was very much around, I remember he used to go into clients and, what's your biggest pain points? We're not going to show you the software right now. What's the biggest pain points? What's the biggest issues? What do you need to solve in your business? And Pete did that. And back in those days, we were all about solving it. And we were very heavily customizable as well, and the system was very much customized around an agent's needs and agent's requirements, and it's probably why our software now is so complex. I think we were counting it up the other day. We just got just over 5,000 config settings, and it's like that past has served us so well. And I think the present, where we find ourselves now, is we're a great business. We invested heavily in sales, lettings, property management, and accounting solutions. We then added our digital solution to it. For those who know me, know that I treat my customers exceptionally highly. I think it's really hard to win a new customer in this space. So when you do win them, you keep them. And at the moment, we're at 98.5% client retention. And we believe that if we service our clients and we actually show them how to get the best out of our software, they will continue working with us.
Why did AKKR buy you out then?
Oh, it was clearly me. I won't say anything to George and the rest of the guys. No, AKKR, they only invest in technology businesses. They look for technology businesses that have got great recurring revenue, great client base, scalable client base, a good management team that can grow.
Because you were already bought out as a management team, weren't you?
So the scenario was George and Dominic, who were the founders of the business, and then Simon came into that. George was, he was 70 plus, looking to retire. Dominic was looking at doing something differently, and so we actually said, right, okay, we now need to do effectively a management buyout. And so myself, we kind of led that, and we do you know what, the amount of inbound inquiries on the business was just unbelievable.
How did it feel putting your nuts on the line? Because
it still feels pretty nuts on the line, but I live and breathe this business. I mean, I reckon if I cut myself now, I'll be bleeding blue. Reapit is in my veins, and my team. We had a staff conference week before last. Had 150 people at our event, and I stood up and talked to them about our successes in the last year, and where I said to them we'd had our record bookings, our record results, our record retentions, and our new innovations. And when we gave the awards out, it was just so well received, and the team, it just feels like a big family there.
So how did you feel about losing your 2-star salespeople, which is obviously Simon and Pete?
Yeah, I think it did hit us. I think I'd worked with Pete for so long. If I start off with Pete, I'd worked with him for so long, and he became my kind of our right hand when it came to sales. He was the guy out there hitting the numbers, and he was hitting the numbers consistently. He had great feedback in the industry, and I think for a number of reasons, I was very upset to lose Pete, and I think I can only thank him for all the hard work and effort he put in. And I know that he's working with his wife now, building a fantastic business with her. And anybody who knows Pete, will always say great things against him. Simon is a larger than life character, as we know.
Very clever man, isn't he?
He is very, very, very smart, and you never underestimate Simon. Having worked with him for all those years, I've seen, and people know it, I've seen the best and the worst of Simon. And at his best, he's untouchable. I mean, there is nobody in this industry can touch him. And I think that's one of the reasons why, when he wanted to kind of work on his own business and build a kind of a collaboration piece, if you like, with his kerfuffle launch, we were happy to work with him on that. And, I still do.
Because moving forward, Kerfuffle and Reapit are actually working together, aren't they?
We are indeed, as part of the ICG collaboration group. Kerfuffle are a member on that group, and we will be working with Simon to introduce a lot of the Reapit solutions through through his Kerfuffle connections.
Well, he's been on this sofa a number of times. I mean, never knowingly underquoted. He's now Simon. You always ask him about Reapit, and it's always in a positive light. Always in a positive light, even off camera. What is the future for Reapit? I mean, you've got some big new clients that have come on board in the last 12, 18 months, haven't you?
We have. We've worked so hard to bring up new business. As I said, we had a record year last year. And I think the future for us has been quite challenging. When you're in a product that's been around for 21 years and you do so much and your depth of functionality is so great and you have to keep giving people new features.
Yeah, the only moan that people have about Reapit is that it's expensive. It's almost like the Stella Artois, reassuringly expensive. You never get them moaning about the system, or you get prop tech people moaning that it takes forever to integrate into it. But surely CRMs are old tech, aren't they?
Do you know what? They absolutely are. And I think this is the approach that we took, is that CRMs in themselves are old technology. They have to change and evolve. And I know when we sat down as an innovation group, and I brought Dawson Scott on, who is the most talented CTO I've ever come across, he sat down and said, right, let's forget what's happened in the past. Let's forget where we are right now and ignore the bit in the middle. Focus about the next 10 years. Focus about what is going to innovate in 10 years' time. So our foundations platform is not about just moving data around and integrating.
Is this PaaS thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we won't get into the tech piece around it, but the idea behind it is that we can't just, it's not there just to integrate, third parties and prop tech companies. People can develop applications against it. They can develop.
So they haven't got to wait for you lot.
No. They can actually go, right, okay, I want to register a contact in a very specific way, or I want to do an AML check in a very specific way, or one of the EDM providers might want to put a dashboard in and track statistics. They can then write that into our system.
So they haven't got to wait for you lot.
No.
Which, let's be honest, the queue for getting stuff integrated to Reapit the last few years is longer.
It is.
It's very long.
I think we were doing the maths the other day. There's about 6,000 prop tech companies, and I would say that nearly all of those have contacted us to do an integration of sorts. So we had to think bigger. We had to think better, and we had to go.
Because no one in the industry is doing this, are they?
No. If you look at what we're building here, I would, I would be very grand and say we're comparing ourselves to Salesforce with their Heroku platform, and Apple with their App Store. So we've generated our own marketplace and we've generated our own developer language.
So bottom line is this: I'm using my my language here. It allows people to pimp up Reapit to their own ability. Every agent they can get whatever. They can just plug it in. They're going to wait for you lot to sort it all out.
Absolutely. And not only that, they can publish their own apps and then send them out to our audience and our client base as well. So you might have some of our customers writing fantastic apps that can be pushed out, but also prop tech startups are in a position where they've got support from one of the big prop tech companies that they can actually then build an application and launch it out into our marketplace.
So when's this all going live?
We've got November 6th is our launch event. Okay. Hopefully everybody can come along to that. And the launch is beginning of January.
Lovely. I wish you luck on that one. Thank you.
Cheers.